All right, boys. I think we're live. Yeah, we're live on the Tyler-kun Williams channel. It's the first live review I've done in a hot minute. Feeling kind of excited. This could go very wrong though, because yeah, I know I was gonna stumble on my words and shit. So now everybody's gonna hear that shit. That should be fun to listen back to. Hopefully I don't bots too much, otherwise I'm gonna have to delete this posting. Oh shit, now I'm echoing. Here we go, bots and mania chance. Someone start saying bots and mania chat, please. Alright. Enough of that. Hey, what is up, you guys? It is Tyler. Welcome back to the Tyler Williams channel. And welcome to a AEW review. Now, I don't really do standalone AEW reviews that often, really at all. I kind of either review AEW with NXT, or I just live react to it, or I do my little tidbits on it. But I haven't reviewed an AEW show in its full, really, since Double or Nothing, All Out. One of the two. But I just got on watching AEW Full Gear today. Yesterday, I was at work, and when I got home, I was just so beat and so tired. I went to sleep. I'm like, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to watch this show. I woke up, and then for whatever reason, the TV in my living room was acting weird, so I had to go and try to troubleshoot that. And that wasn't working, so that took about an hour off my time. But I ended up getting back to the show, ended up finishing it. I'm like, ooh, this is a pretty good show. I'm going to have to talk about it before I go in here. I know a lot of you want to hear my thoughts on it, so I figured I'd go live for it. That way you guys can kind of, interact in the chat and give me your thoughts on what was going on and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, this was AEW Full Gear. I thought it was a relatively good show. I originally said it was great, but then I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, I don't want to say it was a great show. But it was really good. Like, thinking about it from, like, the last 4 shows we had Double or Nothing I was at, so I kind of have a bias towards that show. We have Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, and All Out. If I had to rank them, I feel like Full Gear is somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't put it in the very back, but I would not put it anywhere first or second. It'll probably be somewhere in the third or fourth place. And probably third. Probably like dead middle, third place. But nonetheless, guys, I'm here with a guest. And you guys might have heard on my channel before. He's done commentary multiple times for my map-based combat series. For all of you wondering, which is probably none of you, I have not really done a map-based combat series in a while. The whole W2K20 thing has really just pissed me off so much. I haven't even touched 2K19 since 2K20 came out. Like, I'm just so aggravated with 2K and just how that game turned out. It kind of deactivated all my motivation I had for that series and any 2K game. So I haven't really had a chance to talk to my boy in a minute. But I'm here with my good friend Frankie Z, Frank Zamora. We're going to call him Frankie-kun for this episode. So how you doing, Franklin?
Back on the channel.
Always a wonder that. Always great to hear you back here. For everyone, welcome in the chat if you're in the chat. But I was just talking about AEW just had 5 pay-per-views this year: Double or Nothing, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, All Out, and then Full Gear. So before giving your thoughts and opinions on the show, if you had to rank these shows in order, how would you rank it from worst show to best show?
I'd probably go Double or Nothing as my number 1. I'd put Full Gear as my number 2.
Interesting.
Fyter Fest at number 3, which I know Fyter Fest isn't as popular with fans, but I mean, if I have to judge a show by a heavy top or a heavy bottom, I'm generally going to go with the heavy top because that's where the meat of most of the show is. And I thought the top for Fyter Fest was better than Fight for the Fallen or All Out. I'd probably go All Out number 4 and then Fight for the Fallen as number 5.
Huh. That's a good one. Now, I kind of agree with you with putting Fyter Fest on the back. I really don't remember much of anything that happened on Fyter Fest, honestly, except for the unsanctioned match between Joey Janela and Jon Moxley, which we had an unsanctioned match again on this show, which we're going to talk about. But what did you think of the show overall?
I thought it was a pretty good show. I thought it was consistent throughout. I mean, there were some spots that I wasn't particularly into, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the main event yet, but it isn't my favorite. Overall, though, I think the card was, like, okay to strong at all points during the show. I don't know if it has the makings of a great pay-per-view. It definitely has the makings of a good one.
It does. I do think it was a really good show. I don't know if it's going to be in exactly a memorable show. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to the show next year, but Matt Baker in the chat, he said this was a great show, not one match I was bored of, and I didn't like the trial be thrown in with the heel turn. We'll talk about that. And wow, I actually really like that spot and how that all played out. But we'll talk about that when we get to the match. So let's just start our review off and talk about this show. So the first match we had on this show. Well, let's go to the pre-show. Now, I didn't watch the show till today. I spent about a good hour searching high and low. YouTube, BNR Live, Fight TV. I could not, for the life of me, find a buy-in anywhere. Anywhere. Not Twitter, not the full show at least. I could not find a buy-in anywhere. So Bea Priestley versus Britt Baker, I have not seen that match. I know what happens, I know who wins, but I have not seen it. So Franklin, have you seen the pre-show? If so, can you give your comments on that match?
I thought Britt Baker really made up for her botches in some of the earlier matches she's been in. I thought she was actually like the better in ring of the two. I thought Bea was the better character. I thought she was a really good aggressor. And I don't know if you've seen the post-match segment
I
yet.
did.
But Awesome Kong and Brandy, it was kind of creepy. I dig it. I mean, it's something different in the women's division. I'm not sure why they would attack Priestley when, I mean, Priestley was just playing an aggressive, villainous character. I figured they would probably go for Baker. But, I mean, it's an angle. We'll see what becomes of it. I'll have to form a better opinion on it as it progresses.
Yeah, I was talking to Forasova about it a few days ago, and I was saying the parallels between Brandy Rhodes' character now and Marie Laveau from American Horror Story Coven. I was talking about just how funny it was, like Marie Laveau looking ass Brandy Rhodes over here, trying to be a witch and whatnot. Well, what was that, Voodoo Queen? She reminds me of a voodoo or a witch whenever I see Brandy Rhodes in this character. And here, with Awesome Kong and the all yellow and the attire, I'm like, wow, this is very, very different from anything I see on professional wrestling. So I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm not going to put too much judgment on it just yet. But nonetheless, I did think it was something I really caught my eye. Was there anything else on the buy-in, or was it just this match?
Not any other matches. There's really nothing that needs to be talked about much. I didn't watch all of the buy-in. I just tuned in for the match.
I did see the promo package with before the match. Bea Priestley saying, "You're a fucking dentist." What a phenomenal insult by Bea Priestley. One of the very best of Stardom. Who knew she was such a savage on the mic? Anyway, we didn't get into the opening match of the main show for Double or Nothing. For Full Gear. We have Santana and Ortiz of Proud and Powerful, the former LAX, versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. I honestly thought this is one of the better matches of the show. Really good. I feel like one thing AEW really does very well is they have a lot of good opening matches. Like, on AEW Dynamite, one of the positives is that every night I feel like there's always a really good opening match. Like, Young Bucks versus Private Party was one of the best matches AEW's had so far. They had another good one last week. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they always fire on cylinders just to open up the show and set the tone, which I appreciate very much. I like this match. There's a lot of very good old school wrestling tactics, segregating your opponent and picking the other one apart. Nick Jackson hurt his leg early in the match, and that came into play at certain spots. I did not like the one spot where he was selling the leg, and then all of a sudden he was able to do a powerbomb. I'm like, oh. But then he made up for it, because when he went for a springboard, he just completely fucking fell off the rope. And I'm like, you know what? I like this. People not the Young Bucks all the time for like, oh, they're just a bunch of indie spot monkeys and they never sell and all they do is super kicks and shit. But I feel like when they try and they go out there and they try to have a great match, they can. I thought this was one of the less spotty matches that they had, especially because Pride and Powerful really kept them grounded. Proud and Powerful kept them grounded a lot, which I appreciated. Frankly, what did you think?
Well, you know how I usually feel.
Yeah, I know how you feel about the Young Bucks.
Honestly, they proved a lot of my criticisms wrong here. Granted, I've heard opinions on this match, and I've heard people not be a fan of this style for them, and I get that it's not their niche, but it shows that they can work a
Exactly.
more like, psychological, slow, kind of brawlish based match. And I was surprised too, because Santana and Ortiz, they can fly, they can do spots, they can do high paced matches.
They were
So that's
very
kind of what
grounded
I
in this
expected
match.
going into this match. When I saw a brawl, I was surprised. I think Nick Jackson's really improved his selling a lot. I always thought Matt was the better seller of the two, but I think Nick's getting up there.
Yeah, I'd say of the
And
two, Nick's kind of been my favorite with his hot tags and just the way he sells his moves.
I'd say Matt's the better on the mic, so I prefer Matt. But it was a really good match. I don't know if I'd put it near the top of my favorite matches on this card, but that's because I liked a lot of the matches on this card. But it was good, and the Bucks are showing that what they did early on in AEW, which they had quite a few wins back to back to back over some big players, was to set up kind of their downfall in the tag division. And I like that. I like the fact that they've been able to put a few teams over. Also, like, Ricky Morton with a fucking suicide dive.
Oh,
I mean, I kind of cringed because I don't think anyone at that age should be doing a suicide dive. I mean, it's great that he's still in shape and he can still do it. But, I mean, as a fan of good health, I'm sitting here at home and I'm like, ooh. Oh, he's going to be feeling bad in the morning.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that. So, in the end of the match, Santana Ortiz, they hit their powerbomb, neckbreaker combo, they call it the Street Sweeper, and they got the Pivotal Young Bucks, so they won this match. And I felt like the finish kind of just happened. Like, the match was going, and it started to slow down a little bit, then it started going again, and then it happened. I'm like, oh, alright. The match was good, but I felt like the finish didn't really have much build up to it. I did appreciate the old school tag team dynamic between both teams, so I'll give them that. Sammy Guevara came out after the match was over. He was vlogging. I really like the whole millennial gimmick with Sammy Guevara. Always has his phone on him, vlogging and shit, and just overall acting like a douche. I really like Sammy Guevara in this role. I think this suits him better than being babyface, honestly. They pull out this sock, and it has like I think baseballs in it. On commentary, they're like it has baseballs in it, and he's like, wait a minute, how do you know it's baseballs in it? I'm like, well, what else would be in the fucking sock? There's like three very circular sphere balls in it. Like, I don't know what else it would be, but all right. So he goes to swing, and here comes Roberts and more. Wait, what the fuck? I'm about to get their names all mixed up and shit. The Rock and Roll Express. And as Franklin said earlier, fucking Roberts Morton hits.
No, Ricky.
Ricky? He hit it? Okay. Ricky Morton fucking does first he hits a Canadian Destroyer, which I feel like is the most overused move in professional wrestling. And I no longer pop for that move anymore, no matter who does it, I feel like. He hits that, which I'm like, eh. Then he hits a suicide dive, which I was like, oh, alright. So they get out LAX, they go to the back, and then you have the Young Bucks and Rock Roll Express posing in the middle of the ring, and I'm just like, but didn't LAX just win the match? Why are they not posing? What's going on here? I was so taken aback by that. I did not understand any of the finish, any of what happened after the match. I feel like it kind of hurt LAX in a sense doing that, but nonetheless. Overall, really good match. I don't know if they're going to be doing anything with Rock and Roll Express after this. I would like to think not. I mean, I know they wrestled the Indies, and I know they did wrestle in New Japan, like, very, very briefly. I think they wrestled on one of their American tours, but let's not put the older guys over. That would not. I don't think that's very helpful to your current day roster. That's something that WWE does. I don't want to see AEW doing that. I don't think they will, but let's not go down that path. I don't even want to foul-size about that. Then we get into the next match. Hangman Page versus Pac. I always want to call him Pac, but it's Pac. I've always
thought it was Pac.
I know. He said himself. It's Pac. So we got to call him Pac now. I thought this was good. It wasn't memorable, but I thought it was good. Now, when I was talking to Franklin before the show started, he said it was the match he liked the least. Now, Franklin, what did you not like about this match? Let's get that out here.
I felt it dragged. I felt it prodded. I wasn't into the pacing. I think ever since Pac changed up his style to be more heelish, I think he does better with, I want to say, New Japan-esque opponents. Like, his match with Kenny was good. But that's because Kenny can work that build-up style. I don't think Hangman's set up for that. And I just can't buy into Hangman as, like, a credible top babyface. I don't think he's there. I think he's got a ways to go.
Okay. No, keep going. I don't want to.
He hasn't really figured out his character on top of just, like, generic white meat good old boy babyface. He's actually slowed down his pace a little bit in AEW, which was one of the things I liked about him in Ring of Honor. I just don't see it with him. I think that having Pac lose this early on isn't the best idea, especially since you were kind of building him as a top tier with, like, Moxley and I'd say Omega, but he beat Omega, so not even Omega. You had this mystique with the character, and I mean, he's a guy that's proven that he can play the tweener. I think he would have been a next logical step as challenger. And for the sake of putting Hangman, who already had a shot, in my opinion, under-delivered in the main event against Jericho, over, you kind of stalled his momentum now. I was pretty disappointed with this match.
Huh, well, that's a pretty loaded opinion there. Now, I will say this. I do like Hangman Page. And I will admit that I think his previous work, whether it be in Ring of Honor or New Japan or elsewhere, I think his previous work has been a bit better and he has slowed himself down. I was saying before this that I feel like both he and Kenny have definitely slowed down the pace of their matches ever since adapting to the kind of American-esque style that is All Elite Wrestling. And with Hangman, I see it a lot in these matches. He kind of is a slow builder, which, you know, you can kind of appreciate. You don't want someone who's going to be flying around doing flippy shit all the time. Some people like that.
It goes better with the character. I will give it that. It goes better with the character he's trying to portray. But then again, I don't think he's that great at the character.
I look at him, and I get the aesthetic of an old school wrestler. So I'm like, okay, work from under. I can get behind this. It's a slow build match. I can get behind this. I do think at times it was kind of slow to a point where it was almost like, okay, well, what time is it? You know, what is Twitter talking about? You know what I mean?
Quite a bit.
At times it did. I did like this one spot where Hangman went for his Deadeye, which I still believe is the last, right? No one can tell me otherwise. He went for the Deadeye onto him, but Pac, like, wrapped his leg around his arm and then applied his Rings of Saturn submission, what I thought was awesome. How Pac just, like, wrapped it around him while he was standing up, and Heyman has to, like, use his upper body strength to keep himself stabilized, because if he falls on the mat, he's done. So he has to, like, hold himself, but then he ended up, like, walking to the rope and, like, falling on it, but then because he fell on the rope, he broke it up. I really like that spot. I don't know about you. I thought it was really cool. Nice showcase of strength for Hangman Page. It did later lead to Pac going for his Black Arrow, but Hangman Page got out of the way. He tried for a low blow, Pac did, but it got countered. Hangman Page hit a Deadeye onto him and got the pin, so Hangman Page was the winner of this match, which I got correct. I predicted Hangman Page was going to win, since now they're 1-1. And we just got the announcement from AEW's Twitter page, and I believe Tyler-kun, that we were going to be getting Hangman Page versus Pac this week on AEW Dynamite, the rubber match. Now, I'm not a big fan of doing matches back-to-back like this, so as long as it's their last match, and I mean last match as in I don't want to see tag matches, I don't want to see multi-man matches, I want them to have a break from each other for a while before I see them match with these two. Because, think about it. We had this match at All Out, which was what? August? Like end of August, so September, you could say, what 2 months ago? Then we just had this match, And now we're having a match like literally 4 days later. Like, all right, let's breathe a little bit. Let's get these guys some other opponents to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they've either been building to a match with each other or facing each other for almost the entire length of AEW.
Pretty much. And it's really been since their inception of January when they first faced off against each other. So I'm a bit ready for them to move on from each other. It's like the boyfriend or girlfriend who keep breaking up and getting back together and break up and get back together. It's like fucking either stay together or be apart. And at this point, just be apart from each other. Be apart from each other. Anyway, so that was the match. Then we get on to Joey Janela versus Shawn Spears, which I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It was my least favorite match of the show. And there was parts where I just was not paying attention to anything that was going on. I'm not even gonna lie. I did like Shawn Spears' shirt that says "No More Garbage Wrestling," and it had that like GCW for anyone who watches Game Changer Wrestling. It had that GCW logo on it. Very much a knock and jab at Joey Janela's past home promotion, which I frequent a lot. I thought it was a nice shirt. I did like the heel psychology between Shawn Spears. I feel like he's kind of really found that character and nailed it down to a T with Tully Blanchard. I was very worried from going into this show because I feel like ever since his match with Cody, we haven't really seen much of him or gotten much on what he's going to do or his intentions. He's just kind of been floating and somewhere in the background. And on this show, we got a glimpse of what he might be capable of. I did love the one spot where he got Joey Janela in the corner. You guys know what I'm talking about. And he takes the ring post kind of like tie, that little zip, that little rope that you need to like have the turnbuckle pad together. And he wraps Joey's hair around in it so that way Joey can't move. Now, it wasn't tightly applied because all Joey needed to do was like tug and then his hair would come out because Joey has a lot of hair. But just the sight of it was really cool to see. And also Joey Janela, like, you know, getting out of it and seeing some of the strands of hair that's still sitting on the rope was also really cool. There was a lot of cheap stuff in this match, and cheap stuff not as like it was bad, but like cheap stuff as in like heelish stuff, like Tully Blanchard. And I fucking marked out for the spot where Joey Janela was in a pile driver position with Shawn Spears, and you see Tully Blanchard on the top of the steps, and he lunges himself off and helps assist him in the pile driver on the outside of the ring. That was fucking cool. About a minute later, he got him in the ring. He hit his Tully driver onto Janela and got the pin. So Shawn Spears wins this match. I thought it was kind of a throwaway. It was just kind of a match to be on a show. It was starting to go to last minute, so I didn't know what else you would expect. But Franklin, what did you think about this match?
I like this match. In contrast to the Pac versus Hangman or Pac versus Hangman match, this one didn't really feel like it had gone. I think the fact that it was on the shorter side really helped it. You know, you work your story, your classic heel versus face. You built up to something. You had the heel use the dirty spots, which I thought were pretty unique spots. I mean, it's not every match you see like someone get tied by their hair or like an assisted spike pile driver, or the fact that he used. I thought one of the best things was the fact that he used the turnbuckle as a distraction for the spike pile driver. The turnbuckle was just a setup.
Yeah,
I thought that was really creative. I really liked Spears and the way he acts. There was the way he got the pin on Darby in that 6-man match at Fight for the Fallen. I thought was a really good classic heel tactic that you don't see much too. I think I agree with you on the Spears really finding himself in this like throwback heel category, and it fits because he's not the guy that's gonna like. He's a good talker, but he's not gonna cut the most amazing promo. He's not a super brawler. He's not like a high flyer. He's kind of just a guy that's good at everything. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. And that fits for a throwback heel.
Exactly.
And when you have an actual throwback heel like Tully Blanchard there, it really helps. I thought this served its purpose well. And I thought the timing and the placement of it on the card was perfect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I do think that, like I said, I didn't think it was the best. I thought it was the least favorable match on the show. It's kind of just there and thrown together last minute. So that's kind of, I think, part of the reason why I didn't like it as much. Is because, like, oh, this happened on Dark, and now we have a match on the main show. Like, if it was on the buy-in, I feel like Bea Priestley and Britt Baker should have gotten this spot. That's not a knock on Shawn Spears, not a knock on Janela, but that match had more build-up. That match had more history. That should have been on the main show. But I digress. We didn't gonna go ahead.
They weren't going to put Britt on the main show after like her close call where she got pretty seriously hurt.
It's a Stardom girl. She's alright. They trudge through it. Anyway, so then we get a Kip Sabian promo. So he's now aligned with TH2. I always call them THQ. With Angelico and Jack Evans. And he was talking about his personality change while he's aligned with TH2 and that he needs a posse with them and, you know, the whole shit. I didn't really pay too much attention to the promo, as you guys can tell. So then he brings aside Penelope Ford. And he's talking about how he's going to bring sex appeal back to this loser-infested company. And I thought, alright, every company seems to want to bring sex appeal back to wrestling, as if, like, these hot-ass women don't wrestle every single week, but, you know. Alright. Anyway, so I thought it was really funny that you have Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford in this promo, and then as soon as it's done, you cut to Joey Janela looking so sad walking to the back. I thought that was fucking hilarious. For any of you who don't know, Joey Janela and Penelope Ford used to be a thing. Now she's dating Kip Sabian. So I just felt like, I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny. It shouldn't be.
It was really well done, too.
I don't think it was intentional, but it just was funny how it played out. And if it was intentional, then, Anyway, then we get into the next match. The AEW World Tag Team Champions were on line. We have Private Party versus the Lucha Brothers versus the defending champions, SCU, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. Now, I always hated the idea of a triple threat or fatal four-way or any multi-tag team match that isn't a tornado tag. Simply because in order for you to be in the ring at any given time, you have to be tagged in by your tag partner or by some god-forsaken reason, whether it be by accident, which is dumb as shit, or they tag you in by their own admission, your opponents. There was a part in here when I saw Mark Quinn tagging Pentagon, and I said, what the fuck are you tagging in your opponent for? Aren't you trying to win? What happens if Pentagon gets in the ring and he rolls up fucking Scorpio Sky? Now they're the new champions, and it's your fault because you tagged them in. I just think for that reason alone, I hate these concepts. However, I think they made it work enough for me to not shit on this match. I thought it was a good match. It wasn't too spotty, even though, you know, you think Lucha Bros, you think of Private Party. You know shit's gonna happen. Phoenix, that dude is amazing. He's an aerial superstar. I mean, say what you want about me. I honestly think he's the greatest high flyer in all of wrestling today. Better than Ospreay, better than Rey Mysterio, better than all of them. He just can do it all. The psychology between SCU and Lucha Brothers is still there. It kind of leads me to believe they're going to have another tag team match somewhere down the line. Hopefully we, do that later on. But, Franklin, what did you think about this match?
I thought it was a really good tag match. I'm not a fan of the format either, but I thought they made it work really, really well. I liked a lot of, like, the individual matchups with the different tag teams. Private Party impressed me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought they were good in the ring, but I'm getting really into them as I get more exposed to them. I wasn't really exposed to them before AEW.
Mm-hmm.
My star of the match, and if it wasn't for one of the later matches, probably my star of the night is Rey Fenix.
Of course. Phoenix is always the star of any match.
Let's take away his ring work. He's great ring work. I'm surprised at the fact this man is shining so much as a heel. Just all his mannerisms. Like the first time one of the teams switched, he kind of just like shrugged them off, and he was cocky and taunting the whole time, like even in his entrance. And you know, Pentagon's the one that's more used to being a heel. But I'm just surprised by the amount of personality he's showing as a heel. I mean, I've always preferred him as a babyface. I think he's a really good underdog babyface. But he just shocked me.
Yeah, I will give him that. I feel like after a heel turn that just seemed to just happen, there was no build up to it. It kind of just happened out of the fucking blue. He really adapted to it pretty well and pretty quickly. So, like Franklin was saying, he all the mannerisms he does in the ring and just the way he's able to incorporate that into his work, you just can't help but appreciate Rey Fenix's work.
He shows so much personality, and when he's teaming with Pentagon, who's already known for having a lot of personality for a luchador, I mean, I wouldn't mind if down the line they took the tag titles from SEU and just went on a long reign, because they have the personality and the credibility and just the heel persona to go on a long reign.
Exactly. Pirate Party went for their Rana Cutter finishing move onto Frank Kazarian. But like everyone should do when this spot happens, he held onto the rope. Didn't go anywhere. Shocking. Shocking, I know. Someone who actually uses their brain in wrestling. Jay White, please take over the world. Anyway, so he holds onto the ropes. This leads him to get out of the ring. SCU hits their tag team finish on Isaiah Cassidy, and they get the pin to retain their AEW Tag Team Championships. After the match, they go to SCU, gets attacked by the Lucha Bros, so this feud isn't over yet. But I don't mind it as long as Lucha Bros get the Tag Team Championships. I feel like if they feud a little bit longer and they don't, then this is all for nothing. But that being said, they get the chairs and the lights go out. Now, one thing I will say about AEW that I'm not liking is that every show the lights go out. Whether it be for someone coming out, whether it be Cody. I thought originally it was just for Orange Cassidy, but Cody, for Shawn Spears, for Janela, for the Dark Order, for this guy, for that guy, for that girl. Why do the lights have to go out for every entrance and every moment? I get this spot, it made sense, but I feel like that aspect is just, and it's a nitpick from me, personally, it just gets on my nerves. Nonetheless, the lights go out, they come back on, and we have a Pentagon double in the ring. Pentagon Tres is a commentary called him. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not know for a hot second, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? It took me a minute. First I'm thinking, oh my god, finally, CM Punk back under a mask, making his debut in AEW. Just what we needed. Then I'm like, oh wait a minute, it can't be CM Punk. Oh my god, it's Chris Jericho. After a whole year of coming out as Pentagon last year at All In, he's finally back under the mask. But then I didn't see the tattoo, so obviously it wasn't him. And there's only one guy left. Holy shit, it's Christopher Daniels. I shit you not, guys. I shit you not. Until the mask came off, I did not know who that was going to be. I forgot all about Christopher Daniels. And I should say what my emotional connection is to SCU right now. But I forgot all about that guy. I marked out huge when I saw the little thing on his eye because I remember the Fallen Angel gimmick from like old Impact Wrestling days back when I used to actually watch it in 2010 and like late 05. So like, oh shit, Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, that's so awesome. So if we could get Christopher Daniels versus Pentagon in a singles match, since Pentagon's the one who injured him, quote unquote, that'd be dope. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe they can do that this week or next week. But up to it, I'm looking forward to that either way. What was your thoughts on that final ending segment? I know you're a big fan of the Fallen Angel too. So,
I thought it was really well done. I thought it showcased the intensity that had been missing from Daniels ever since his feud with Cody. I think Daniels is best when he's allowed to be intense, when he's allowed to be emotional. And it really plays into it. Pentagon versus Daniels will probably be a really, really good match. Daniels has been pretty consistent in terms of putting on good matches here, not just in the tag division, but as a trio, and he had a really good singles match with Sema. So maybe it's the start of a singles push for him. Maybe he ends up being a filler opponent for Jericho. I mean, they did hint at it with the post-show comments that he did say he wanted to face Jericho, which I think would be a very good clash of two guys who are still really good, can continue to change and evolve their gimmick, and continue to be consistent in the ring, despite the fact that, you know, they're old, but they've taken completely different paths with, I mean, Daniels basically being an indie guy up until now. And Jericho being, the big rock star, cross-platform, WWE guy. I think it would set up a pretty good clash there.
Oh, you remember earlier when I was talking about how I can't find a buy-in anywhere? Well, lo and behold, AEW is now streaming the buy-in live on their YouTube channel. So,
Maybe
I guess
they
I should have
forgot to
waited. But anyway, I'm a little disappointed now. Now I could go and watch it. I mean, not this very second because I'm streaming at the moment. We could do an all elite of me watching the buy-in. Well, wouldn't that be a nice all elite for me to do? Me watching the buy-in. How about that? Maybe I'll have to do it. I don't know. So now we get into the next match, the AEW Women's World Championship. Mai Sakura versus the defending champion, Riho. I thought this was a good match. I did feel like the crowd was kind of out of it during this match at some points. Like it was kind of quiet at some points in this match. And I'm like, ooh, like there was parts where Emmy's like doing the boom boom clap, boom boom clap, and like nobody joined in. I'm like, oof, that's kind of rough. And then when Riho was making her comeback, there was like, I'm like, what the fuck happened to this crowd? Did they like die at some point? Like, I know this match wasn't this interesting because it didn't really feel too slow at any point. I mean, I know the beginning was a little bit of a slow build to the end, and then once you got to that ending spot, the ending sequence was pretty hot, where they were just going at it with the roll-up counters and everything, which I thought was kind of the best part of the match, that juicy Puroresu style. They're exchanging roll-ups here and there. Riho gets her caught with the running knee, and Riho executes this almost, it almost could have been a botch, but she managed to make a picture-perfect, I don't know what perfect, a great-looking tilt-a-whirl into an overhead pin, and gets the win over Mai Sakura to retain her AEW Women's World Championship. Now, I do like the fact, at first I didn't like it, but I like the fact that a lot of Riho's wins are by roll-up, because you gotta consider this woman is not even 100 pounds. So, when she's beating a woman that's bigger than her, she's got to use her full body, which is why she uses stomps all the damn time, which kind of neutralizes the stomp in a way in AEW when you see Riho doing it like 7 different times in a match, which I think she did at least like 4 or 5 times in this match alone. Maybe even more, I don't know. But when you see someone
cringing right now.
Say it again?
TJ would be cringing right now.
Oh yeah, he would. He's rolling around in his grave thinking about all the stomps Riho just did and didn't put her opponent away with a stomp. How dare she? Anyway, so she's doing all these moves, but when the opponent is like twice her size, it's not gonna do as much damage. And she's not gonna have her Hulk and Andre woman just fucking lift up her opponent, because that's unbelievable. I know you guys suspend your disbelief for wrestling at times, but Riho's doesn't even really have that much meat on her, so I couldn't buy into her lifting up Nyla Rose. I couldn't buy into her lifting up Mai Sakura. Not that she's big or anything, but getting the roll up finish, I can buy into that. And even though I think AEW is starting to get a little bit into the overuse territory with roll ups, I can buy into it with Riho. But what did you think of this match, Franklin?
This was actually my second favorite match on the card. Like, it was that high. I loved the counters. I love Riho's in-ring style. I think her size really helps her get over as a high-flying type. I think Emi Sakura has a lot of personality. And that whole, I'm a heel that acts like a high-energy, playful babyface is a lot of fun.
Two-face heel. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think she's, full of character. I wouldn't mind seeing, an Emi Sakura reign down the line. I think she's full of personality. Riho, though, holy shit, she's impressed me. I thought she carried Nyla Rose to a pretty good match, and I think her working with Emi Sakura, who's more in her style. I mean, obviously they're teacher and student, and from Kenny's Twitter, I think they've been in 200 something matches together with singles matches. It's a lot. They've worked with each other a lot. So obviously they know each other very well, and I haven't watched any of their previous matches. I'll probably go back and do that at some point. But this was a very, very good match. There wasn't a point where I was taken out or just checking my phone or bored. No, I was focused on the match. almost 100% of the time. And nowadays, because there's so much to do, there's very few matches that like captivate me like that.
Exactly. Very few
Like
matches can really hold your
you'll get
attention
two
all the
or
time.
three on a card, unless I'm there live, which is a big difference. But you'll get like two or three on a card when I'm watching that'll like captivate my attention like that, and then I'll take a little bit of a break. But this was definitely one of them, and I didn't expect it to be because it didn't get the greatest build, but I think the match delivered.
It did. It did. I'm very curious to see what they're gonna do with Riho after this. Who goes after the AEW Women's Championship? I mean, I feel like the way they've been featuring her, it could be Bia or it could be Jamie Hayter. I wouldn't mind Jamie Hayter and Riho in a singles match. That'd be something. Or Bia, Stardom girls going at it. I don't think anyone would really mind that at all. I wouldn't go back to Britt Baker because she just had a title match and she lost. I was there for it. I wouldn't do Brandy. Definitely wouldn't do Brandy. Wouldn't do Brandy at all. I can't see them doing Awesome Kong versus Riho unless they have Awesome Kong go over Riho, because it's Awesome Kong, and she used to ragdoll Gail Kim. I mean, I guess if they want to go back to that, I mean, Awesome Kong isn't really at that feat in her career anymore. She could carry a match like that, but they could do that, I guess.
I mean, it's not like Riho can't carry bigger opponents. We saw it with Nyla Rose, and I mean,
yeah, but Awesome Kong, I don't want to say she's a bad wrestler now, but I don't know, she can't really go like she used to. Maybe I just haven't seen that match from Rhea. Maybe she gets that opportunity against Riho, and we see the Awesome Kong of old. Who knows? But going through the AEW's roster, Hikaru Shida and Riho would be really good. Didn't they have a singles match on AEW television already? They did.
I think they did.
They did.
I'm really high on Hikaru. Hikaru is my favorite.
Yeah, she's mine too.
So far.
Her and Jamie Hayter are definitely my favorites, and not just because me and Jamie Hayter share the same birthday, but Nyla Rose. What the hell happened to Nyla after she lost to Riho? I haven't seen her on TV at all. I'm like, oh damn. I guess they just forgot about her, but whatever. Anyway, we then get into the main events of the evening. At least the main event before the Lights Out match. Cody versus Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship. And as you guys know, per stipulation, if this match were to go 60 minutes, it would go to a judge's decision. And whoever was in the favor of the judge's decision would become or retain the World Championship. And on the judge's booth, we've had Kaiji Muto, the Great Muta, which was a shocker to me. I didn't expect Kaiji Muto to be there. Arn Anderson, and Dean Malenko. Now, as you guys know, a commentator brought up, Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho, they had a few way back in WCW, so I thought that was pretty interesting how they got him out there for that match. We even saw a stare down between the two men. But getting into the match of Chris Jericho and Cody, I thought it was the best match on the show. Hands down. It was great. It was a slow build match, which I expected. I didn't expect them to build as slow as they did, which was scaring me because I thought, oh shit, they might actually try to go 60 minutes. How are they going to pull this off? I don't know. What about you, Frank? I thought there was some points in there where I'm like, this feels like it could go the mile. Yeah, I don't want it to. I was
thinking. Like, about maybe like 10, 15 minutes into the match, I'm like, oh shit, they might actually try and go 60 minutes. I don't know if that's going to work for them. Then about like 25 minutes in, when the match was like reaching its height, I'm like, I think they could convincingly pull off 60 minutes. They were fucking selling me on it.
They were.
And then they did the finish, and it was really,
before we get to
good.
The finish,
I love the storytelling in this. I gotta admit, whatever the AEW style is, I mean, I know they have like multiple styles on the card, and they haven't really fleshed out what they are yet. Cody's the best at working it. So far, he's been the most consistent in-ring performer. He's been the most consistent on the mic. He's been really, really good, and I think he's become a phenomenal storyteller. I might actually, I don't know about overall in ring, but in terms of storytelling, he's probably in my top 10 right now.
He's one of the best that the company has. It's not the best the company has right now. And this match definitely showed from the beginning. I really loved in the beginning where it was Chris Jericho's birthday yesterday. By the way, happy birthday to the GOAT. The crowd was chanting happy birthday at him, and Chris Jericho flipped the crowd off and he started chanting fuck your birthday, which I fucking laughed so hard at. But as you're saying, the match is slow build. Like 10 minutes in, Cody starts to fire up. We have the ramp, where the ramp is kind of connected to the ring like the very old school WCW days. So you have Chris Jericho on the ramp, and Cody goes for a tope suicida. Now I saw this coming from a mile away. Like, Cody's going to bust his face on this ramp and maybe cut himself hard way, whatever. Cody does this dive and thrust his head into the ramp. And I said, what the fuck, Cody? Like, I understand it looked like he tried his hardest to make sure his head hit the ramp so he could cut himself open. I'm like, oh my god, Cody, what the fuck? He lifts up and you just see this big laceration right above his right eye. And that cut was big. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, what the fuck is wrong with it? I appreciate Cody for trying to get blood in his matches and really trying to get people to sell the fact that, oh my god, it's really high intensity. It's really high intensity. Really high energy. Like, what could happen? Cody's bleeding. Is he going to make it through this match? Like, I can buy into that. But I'm like, Cody, what are you doing, kid? Anyway, so that plays into it. The referee's checking on it because they have to. I mean, this guy legitimately has a huge cut on his head. They're checking on him. They're trying to make sure he's okay and good to go. And that's slowing down the match a bit. Jericho's like posing and doing all this shit. But Cody, he tries us through. He tries us through the rest of the match. Honestly, one of the best spots of the entire show was when Cody was on the outside, and Jericho goes towards Cody's mother, who was behind the ramp, behind the barricade, and he's like taunting her or whatever, and she slaps him in the face, and she says "fuck you" to Chris Jericho, which I don't know if anyone picked up on that or read her list, but she obviously said "fuck you" to him. So Cody ran Chris Jericho right into the fucking barricade again. And Cody's mom just gives him one big slap right to the side of the head. I'm like, yes. Cody's mom for AEW Women's World Champion. Let's fucking go. Anyway, so Jake Hager ends up getting ejected from the match because he cheap shot at Cody at least like twice in this match. And after he got ejected, MJF got laid out by Jake Hager. I forgot to say that MJF is also ringside of this match, but I think all of you probably should have known that by now. So they're building up to it. More spots happen. A lot of near falls. There's one spot where Cody just hit the crossroads out of absolute fucking nowhere. And I'm like, holy shit. Is he about to really win this match right here? And he kicked out of it. He hit his disaster
Yeah, I thought that was a really good spot. It was a really nice counter.
He hit his disaster kick on to Jericho and he kicked out. Then he tried for it again and Jericho caught him with a code breaker. And I'm just sitting here and I'm wondering, when is he going to hit this Judas effect? The one thing I love about the Judas effect is that Jericho can hit it at any point in time. The beginning of the match, the end of the match, middle of the match, and you know when he hits it, it's over. Because they've protected that move so greatly. So I'm like, when is he going to hit it? And surprisingly, he didn't hit this move at all. So the end comes, and he has Cody locked in the walls of Jericho. And he has it locked in like, Cody's like on his neck almost, and Jericho's standing, and you see MJF, he's on near the ramp, but he's reaching now for something. I'm like, is he about to grab a chair? Or what is he about to do? He grabs this towel, and I'm like, what the fuck does he have a towel for? I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god, I know exactly what's about to happen. I'm fucking here for this. I did not see this finish coming. So, Jericho now has him, like, sitting on the back and neck of Cody, like, just going in. And then he's kneeling on Cody, and he's, like, struggling. He's trying to reach, but he can't go anywhere because Jericho's kneeling on him at this point. And MJF throws in the towel, and the referee calls for the bell. And the crowd just boo the fuck out of this finish. I'm like, you know what? I commend them for going with this finish. Because everyone thinks, you know, when you do a heel turn, everyone thinks, oh, you know, a kick to the dick, which he did, but we'll get to that in a second. Oh, he's going to kick him in the dick when the referee's back is turned. He's going to hit him with a chair. He's going to, you know, not do the hot tag, something like that. Something so forth. Sorry about that. But it was something so subtle as throwing in the towel for Cody because he didn't think he could take it anymore. And it technically wasn't a heel turn at the time, but if you saw into this for what storytelling should be in professional wrestling or movies or cinema or whatever the hell, you knew what was coming. You know, Cody, he's very dejected. He's like, I can't believe he just did this. Like, this was it. Cody can't challenge for the AEW championship because of MJF. It's all his fault. So Cody is just like, I don't want to hear it. MJF is crying in the middle of the ring, and I'm like, oh, are they not going to do the turn right now? This is a way to extend it out. I guess I could buy into this. And it started like Cody might turn on MJF, and I'm like, they're not about to have Cody fucking turn on MJF. That wouldn't make any damn sense. And I think even if Cody would have punched MJF in the face, the crowd would have cheered him anyway because they're a bunch of fucking marks. I am too,
yeah.
but, you know, I'm just saying what it is. Anyway, so Cody, he brings MJF back up to his feet. He's like, you know what? We're going to talk about it. MJF kicks him in the dick. And the crowd just showers this guy's in boo. And it showers this guy in boos. And I fucking love it. Anytime when someone does a heel turn, and I can't even call it a heel turn because MJF was a heel from the start. People keep saying this was a heel turn. It wasn't a heel turn. MJF was always a heel. He was by Cody's side, yes. But there was never a point in time where MJF did not act like a douche, a stuck-up, a asshole. None of that. He kept his personality thoroughly throughout this entire AEW run. It was just, oh, I'm Cody's friend too. That's all it was. If you saw past that smugness, you would have known that he was using Cody this whole time. So no, it wasn't a heel turn. It was Cody being a dumbass and not seeing this coming. That's how I see it. Anyway,
I mean, they've been building up to it since they started him, like, on being the elite.
Exactly.
Like, everything, like, he acted nice in front of Cody, and Cody saw something in him, but he was a fucking dick to everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. He was always a dick. I'm like, he was never like, oh, he's being nice here. It's like, no, he's been a dick this entire time. Cody was just blinded to it. Cody has no one to blame but his damn self at this point. You can call it a heel turn. I call it a babyface turn. And Cody should have known better. Maybe his mom probably was thinking, Cody, you know, I don't really know about this guy. But Cody was like, you know what, he's okay, Mom. He's okay. I swear to God. He goes to church every Sunday. MJF is a cool guy. Up until this point. So, MJF, he walks up the ramp. And I've been hearing left and right theories of, oh, it was a plan. Oh, it was a fan. I honestly believe it probably was a fan at, through the
No, I think it was a plan.
You think it was a plan? I think it was a fan.
An indie guy. It was revealed to be an indie wrestler.
Who?
Oh, God, I forgot his name, but they revealed it. You can look this up.
Who revealed it?
Here.
Because I heard this theory, and I'm like, the way this... Okay, so basically, MJF is standing on a ramp.
Yeah,
and
a person revealed. His name is Alan Angels.
Alan Angels. Never heard of him. Probably
South Atlanta. He's from South Atlanta Wrestling.
So, this guy throws a cup of water at MJF, and I'm like, if this was a plan, if this was a fan, this was a great visual. This was a great visual to see this fan so pissed at MJF, cheap shot at Cody. They threw their drink at. This is the heat you want on MJF. This is back in the day heat. I remember that. I always remember this match. I don't remember what the match was, but I remember this entrance of Shawn Michaels where the crowd was just fucking throwing shit at him. I'm like, we never see this shit in wrestling today. I mean, you can't because, as soon as you do that, you're going to get thrown out of the fucking arena. But seeing it here took me back to that match. And I'm like, I love this spot. MJF is a true heel. For how long? I don't know. Because, at some point, every city's going to start cheering him because that's what we do. We cheer the heels that are good. But execution was excellent.
At getting heat. I think... Because, he's everything our fucking generation hates. He's a rich, spoiled white boy.
So is Sammy Guevara. They should team up. The question here is, do you think MJF should join the Inner Circle? To that I say no. I think MJF is perfectly fine standing alone by himself. Should he tease it? Yes. Should he join them? I think MJF is too conceited to be, Chris Jericho's second protege or Chris Jericho's this or Chris Jericho's that. I don't see it. I can't see it. I mean, like I said, I think MJF and Sammy Guevara make a great team. You have a millennial fuckboy and fucking a rich white Bret. I think they would make an amazing team that would garner so much heat. But like, other than that, I don't think they should be part of Inner Circle. What do you think, Franklin?
It's funny because I've actually fantasy booked that tag team in my TW. But I don't think they should be a team. I think MJF is good as a solo act. He has enough momentum and like storyline behind him at this point to be able to continue to run by himself for a bit.
Yeah, I don't really think he needs anyone by his side or, on his... I think MJF should just go on a singles run. Maybe you could see... Obviously, to build up to MJF versus Cody at the next show, whatever that is. Or at Dynamite in a few weeks. But I could see MJF as potentially the AEW World Champion someday. And part of the Inner Circle, that's not going to happen. So...
Yeah. There's also the fact that I think they're different kinds of villains. Sammy's obnoxious. MJF is just a guy you want to punch. I mean, Sammy's a typical whiny, like, entitled, in your face, very in his own head kind of millennial. MJF is Brock Turner, pretty much. He's the rich guy that was given everything in life, and he has a big head despite doing absolutely nothing, and he's going to get under your skin for it, and he's going to get away with it because he was born with more than everybody else.
Exactly. It's a lot more easier to hate MJF. Hey, what's going on, How Made in the comment section? What's going on, my guy? JFK96. Full Gear was a meaningless pay-per-view until the final two matches. Good action, but the final two matches were the best of the night. Cody versus Jericho was 7 out of 10. Moxley and Mega's match of the year. We're going to talk about that in a second. Cody just took one bump. The blood involved main event was horrible. I wouldn't call main event bad. I thought it was a great main event. But let's talk about the match that technically didn't even happen because it was lights out, which I hate. I hate the fact this is unsanctioned and it doesn't count for anything. But then we get into Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, an unsanctioned match. And this was a glorified, televised death match. And you can't convince me otherwise. I did not expect them to do as much as they did in this match. But they crossed deathmatch territory, and I was shocked that they went this far. Now, there's a lot of divided opinion. Some people absolutely hated this match. Some people just did not like this at all. Some people thought they went too far. Some people just don't like death matches, period. Some people love this match. They love death matches. They love all the weapons and the gore and the blood and all that kind of stuff. Where do you lie, Frank? I'll give my opinions right after you. Where do you lie in this? With the death matches? The comment section. Guys in the chat, where do you lie with this match? I want to know what you guys think about this match.
I mean, I'm just going to straight up say I don't think this was a good match at all. I thought the pacing was really bad. I think it's a waste of both guys' talents when you have two of those charismatic story builders who also happen to be two of the biggest names in the business, and you do CZW with better production values. It's a waste. I thought the ending stretch was good, but outside of the ending stretch, I didn't think there was any part in the match that I was like, wow, this is good. The pacing was bad, especially when both guys can work higher energy. I mean, we saw both guys work a higher energy, hardcore style match with Joey Janela. So it's not like both guys can't work a better pace. When you're doing a hardcore match, at the very least, go ahead and make the pacing fast. If you go all in on the spot fest, that's fine. There are matches that are set up for that, and that would have been fine. But they didn't even do that because the pacing was slow. They took out too long to get some of the weapons, and then it just became an edge fest. It became a who can use the edgiest weapon on the other guy up until the barbed wire table. And I just didn't like it. It's not for me. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that love that kind of stuff. But to me, wrestling is storytelling, and that wasn't a good match.
Huh. Well, your insight on it, I definitely is very much appreciated. Here's what I think. Now, me personally, I've never been a huge fan of death matches. I mean, it wasn't until like this year when I went to Joey Janelle Spring Break that I actually experienced my first death match. And I didn't know what was going to happen. It just happened. And I was shocked by every second of it, and I can't honestly say that I enjoyed it or I liked it, but I'm like, wow, that was a spectacle to see. As time went on, I've gotten used to them. I've gotten used to seeing them, but it doesn't necessarily mean I like them enough to go out and... I have never gone out to look for a death match. Extreme Rules matches, yes. False Count Anywhere matches, of course. Unsanctioned matches, yeah. Death matches, nah. There's a certain bridge and territory you cross into death matches that I just don't like. There is just a certain period of time with death matches where it's not a wrestling match. It's a, hey, who can do the most rigorous, dangerous thing to the other person without bringing them to the point where they might die from blood loss. And I feel like at points in this match, they could have gone there, but they didn't. But there was chairs, tables, trash cans, which is all tame PG stuff. I thought that's as far as you want to go. Maybe a ladder here and there. But then we got a mousetrap table, and I said, oh, I have never seen this before. I never thought I was going to see this in a TV. We weren't on TV, obviously. We're on our live, but still. Then we got chains. And I said, okay, interesting. Then we got glass, and I'm like, okay, now this is the fucking death match. As soon as you bring glass into the picture, you have now crossed the territory into this is not professional wrestling. This is a death match. And I'll say it again. The one spot I didn't like with the glass was when John Moxley locks Kenny in this sharpshooter. And, no. Did Kenny lock Moxley in it? I think Kenny locked Moxley in the sharpshooter. And the glass is like spread across this one area, and then the ropes is like further away. So in order for Moxley to get to the ropes and break it up, which you shouldn't have to on sanctioned match or whatever the fuck, he would have to literally crawl through the glass. So the visual of it I liked. That was the one spot in the match where I actually really liked it. But then...
I thought that was pretty well done. I will agree with that. I'll give him that.
Then we got to the spot where they went up the ramp. And Hangman Page and the Bucks are out there. And Kenny's like, hey, bring it out. And they're like, oh, I don't know about this, Kenny. He's like, just fucking bring it out, man. I promise we're going to be all right. And they bring out this bed of barbed wire. Now, mind you, we already saw barbed wire used in this match. The barbed wire bat and barbed wire broomstick we've been seeing for weeks on end. They finally used it in this match. Moxley used the bat on Kenny a few times. Kenny used the broom, even sweeping across John Moxley's back with the barbed wire, which to some people was too much. I thought it was cool, kind of. But the barbed wire bet, I said, what the fuck is going on now? That's a lot. So they end up getting suplex. John Moxley performs a suplex on a Kenny Omega through the barbed wire bed. And they're all stuck in it, and I'm like, I hope that barbed wire's fake-ish. Because if not, that's fucking dangerous. Anyway, so they get out of it. John Moxley has cuts all over his back, but not like serious cuts. There was never a spot in here where they were bleeding immensely. I thought there was probably more blood in the Cody match than there was in this match. There was little specks of blood here and there, but they're never like bleeding all over the place.
Yeah, Cody match had more of a visual.
Yeah. So they head back to the ring. They don't head back to the ring yet. Kenny Omega V-triggers John Moxley through this Full Gear logo, which is basically a light sliding through it, and he V-triggers him. At this point, I'm like, well, now they're going spot to spot. If they weren't already, now they're just going, hey, this spot here, this spot here, this spot here. Psychology is thrown out the fucking window at this point. So now they get to the ring. And I'm like, okay, the finish has got to be coming soon. I don't know what else they could fucking do at this point. They get into the ring. John Moxley lays him out. Then he starts taking apart the ring, like the mat. And you see the plywood exposed. And you already know we're about to get the Johnny Gargano Tommaso Ciampa spot at some point in time. That's immediately what I thought of. Was Johnny and Tommaso from last year. That's been etched in my head at this point. So he gets in the ring. And I think he tries for something. But Kenny Omega counters, gets him down. He goes for a Phoenix Splash. Perfect formation, by the way. Phoenix Splash on John Moxley. John Moxley gets out of the way. He gets splattered all over the damn plywood. John Moxley ends up hitting his elevated paradigm shift onto Kenny Omega and gets the pin. John Moxley winning this match. But once again, this is unsanctioned. So technically, John Moxley's win over Kenny Omega doesn't even matter. That being said, did I like this match? As far as death matches go, this was good, tame, but good. You can't grade it under any other circumstances, though. I can't sit there and tell you, oh, this is a really good match. It wasn't a fucking match. It wasn't a wrestling match. Not one that I will watch over again. But if you're looking for an Extreme Rules match, if someone's looking for a really spotty Extreme Rules match, I would say, hey, watch Kenny Omega versus John Moxley. You might like it. Because there wasn't a lot of blood. They didn't do anything extreme except for that barbed wire spot. It was a sort of tame death match. If that's what you like, then you love this match. If you don't like it, you're going to hate this match. That's just kind of the division there is. I see in the comments section, some of you didn't like this. Robert Kent said it was too far for him. Juan Mena said that it looked like nothing happened to either man at the end because there was no blood or cuts. That I think the visual of there being no blood or anything on those men took away from it a little bit. Like the end of the match came and nobody they went through really anything except for some glass on the back of Kenny. I'm like, wait, didn't they just have a match? Why is there nothing there except for all the stuff beside the ring? But I digress. That was the match. Franklin said he wasn't a fan of it. I'm indifferent on it, honestly. Overall, this was a good show. Like I said, if I had to rank the 5 AEW shows this year, this would be very much in the middle, third place for me, right behind All Outs and Double or Nothing. But Franklin, once again, for the guys who just joined in, what was your view of the show overall?
Like I said at the beginning, it was a good show, top to bottom. It was solid. I think, personally, at least for me, the style of the main event and the proddingness of Hangman and Pac prevent it from being a great pay-per-view to me. It's still a good one. It's still a show I would recommend because it's something that, for the most part, if I was trying to convince myself to watch a wrestling show and I wasn't a fan, I would show myself this show. I think it's a good show to show people because it has something for everyone and it's pretty solid.
Yeah, that will give. It was a good show overall. Now, before we go off air here, there were 2 matches confirmed on AEW Dynamite. I think I said them earlier in the show. We're going to go over them one more time. So, the 2 matches we have confirmed here. So far, we have the AEW Tag Team titles on the line. SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Frank Kazarian are defending their titles against Sammy Guevara and the AEW World Champion Chris Jericho. Now, I understand why they're facing off for the titles, but if we're going by the power rankings, technically, the Young Bucks are number 1, so they should be in contention for the tag team titles, not Jericho and Sammy. Even though Jericho and Sammy are undefeated, they're 2-0. Technically, they're a tag team. They have a record. Pride and Powerful. I keep on saying Pride. Proud and Powerful are actual tag team for the Inner Circle. If you want to do a whole scenario where, everyone's holding gold or close to holding gold, then it should have been Proud and Powerful. I think Jericho and Sammy Guevara going up against the tag team champions for the championships is kind of unnecessary. But SCU, they're going to retain. I don't know how they're going to go about this, because I like to think they will like to keep the momentum with Jericho running. I mean, he can't be undefeated forever. I understand that. But how would they pull this off? Do they have Sammy get pinned? Do they have a DQ? Do they have a count-out? But what do you think about this match? Coming on Dynamite this week.
Pac versus Hangman?
No. Jericho and Sammy versus SCU.
I'm not a fan of it. I think it books you into a corner. You either keep Jericho and the main heel faction strong, or you keep your tag champion strong. Unless they end up doing a clusterfuck and they end up setting up for Daniels versus Jericho, which, as I said, was hinted as a possibility. Unless that's the plan and it's going to break down, it's going to be ruled a no contest, which that's what I'm thinking they're going to do. That's going to be my big prediction, is that Jericho is going to challenge, or Daniels is going to challenge Jericho for the title, and this is going to be the angle that sets it up. But I don't see a way to have a conclusive finish to this match and not hurt one of the titles.
That was my thing when they announced this match. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to go about this. I think the only way they could do it is a DQ. Well, it's like, other than that, the only way you could do a decisive one is having Sammy get pinned. But like I said, Jericho takes the loss. Like I said, can't be in the field forever. He has to lose at some point. But do they want his first loss to be against the tag team champions? I thought it should have gone to someone that they're building up, singles-wise. But I guess we could do that. Then we have Hangman Page versus the Bastard Pac in the rubber match. The match we just saw on Full Gear is happening this week on Dynamite. I said before the show, I'm not a fan, and I think you guys know this, I'm not a fan of rematches that happen back to back. If I see a match happen once, cool. If it's great, do a rematch. Fine. If you want to do a third match, alright, somewhere later down the line. But month by month rematches, week by week rematches, unless it's a series and we've established it's a series, I'm not a fan. The fact that we've had Heyman versus Pac in September, August 31st, September, whatever the hell. Then we had it again this week. Then we're having it again in 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, whatever the hell. It's like, we just had this match. Can we get a break from it? If they're going to do this rubber match, it needs to be the last match they have for a while. I don't want to see these guys go up against each other in tag matches or singles matches. I don't want to see it for a long while. They need to break apart from this. I understand the roster isn't the biggest. They don't have a WWE-sized roster. But they are way too early to be doing rematches like this. They have a roster. They need to use it. So I think this is the last match they should have. And if there's a winner, it should be Page.
Honestly, I think the guy that should be in Hangman Page's spot right now is Darby Allin.
Darby versus Pac would be something.
It'd be a lot more entertaining. I think their styles would mesh a lot better. I think with how dominant they're booking Pac, that they could very easily just go all in, no pun intended, on like a underdog face versus dominant heel rivalry, especially with how they've been booking Darby. I think Darby's more over with the crowd. I think he's more consistent in ring. I think he's got his character figured out better. I'm surprised that's not the match they went with here on the pay-per-view, because it would have been better than Hangman Page. I mean, I know Hangman's
he's throwing him under the bus.
And he's like by the elite, for the elite, but I just don't see it with him. I just don't.
I mean, I'm not seeing New Japan Hangman Page here, but I think there's something there. I think you gotta give it time. It's still early. However, who do you think wins this match?
Sadly, Booking 101.
Sadly.
Booking 101 dictates Hangman. Pac's momentum is probably going to be squandered, and then we're going to end up with, the prototypical Hangman gets his rematch against Jericho, which at that point, it's either you protect his booking and you save Hangman, or you just kind of like squander him early on. There's not really a good alternative here. There's really not. I think it's way too soon to be booking this match again. You had it hit 50-50, and I know they're like anti-50-50 booking or whatever, but
spacing.
What else can you do?
Time. It matters.
What else can you do at this point?
Like I said, I want this to be the last match they have for a long time. I don't want them to go back to this for a few months. Maybe even 6. Maybe even a year. I don't care. Where both men go after this is interesting. AEW is very much still in the very, very early stages. They have many, many months to go before everyone starts tearing the show apart. Me, I'm very straightforward. If I don't like something about AEW, I'm going to say it. I don't care what anyone thinks about it. Like I said here, I don't like the fact that this match is being booked right after we just saw it. It wasn't that damn good for me to see it again. Where these two men go after this? Franklin saying that Page goes after the world title, might go after the world title. I don't see it. I think he just lost to Jericho too soon for him to just go back into the title picture.
Well, I mean, by the rules of their own power ranking, like, bullshit, he technically should. I think it's going to be Daniels. I think they're going to let swerve it somehow, but...
And, there's been a bit of a talk, at least Khan has, about there being a mid-card title for AEW. Now, I think a lot of people have been wanting this. I don't think we need it right away. I think you could do it next year. You don't have to jump and do it in December. But if there were a mid-card title, could you see either of these men being the first inaugural, AEW television champion or something along those lines? Or who would you fantasy book as the first ever AEW mid-card champion?
All right. Now, multiple points to make with that. First off, Cody's gone out and say that it's technically going to count as a secondary title, not a mid-card title.
Sure.
I think Pac's too high on the card. I think he's been too protected. I mean, once you have wins over Kenny Omega and you have a draw against Jon Moxley, like, do you really have to fight? Do you really have to fight for a mid-card title? I do think that Darby Allin's the perfect guy for it. Just give him a long title reign in the mid-card. And build him up that way.
I could see Darby Allin as the mid-card champion. The way they've been building this guy up and the way the crowd's behind him, I could see Darby Allin as a champion.
My other pick is just go all in on the Inner Circle and do Sammy Guevara.
I don't know. The whole thing about everybody in this faction's a champion is overdone. Undisputed Era is doing it right now. Fine and dandy.
Yeah, but you need a good mid-card heel. MJF is caught up with main event feuds. I don't think Kip Sabian's ready. He's fresh into the character. Who else are you going to go with?
They're building up this... I mean, I don't know if they're building up because I haven't seen a home package in a while, but this Wardlow guy, maybe he debuts and goes after that title. He turns the tournament and wins it. Maybe Wardlow whenever he debuts.
I don't see it.
Well, Chad, who would you guys make as the first ever AEW secondary champion? I want you guys to comment down below in this video and in the chat. We're about to go off air in just a minute. Thank y'all for listening in to this live AEW Full Gear review. Overall, we thought it was a good to really good show. It was the last pay-per-view AEW is doing for the year of 2019. They've done 5 shows this year. What was your favorite AEW pay-per-view this year? Comment down below. Let me know. Curious to see what the next pay-per-view will be for next year and where AEW Dynamite's going to go. As you all know, I live stream AEW Dynamite and NXT, my live reactions to each show every single Wednesday. So tune in for that, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Tyler-kun Williams channel. And for my thoughts on AEW, NXT, and New Japan, just make sure you subscribe to Tyler Williams channel and keep me up to date. That being said, thank you, Franklin, for joining me for this review. I know it was very last minute when I asked you, but I always appreciate your thoughts and opinions, sir. You're a great hand.
Happy to be here.
And thank you all for tuning in. Love you guys always, and I will see you all for my next video.